Hello, today I'm going to be providing you with a Arcoro to CMIC integration demo, which would pass data between the Arcoro CoreHR platform and CMIC's US payroll module. I'm going to start in the Arcoro Core HR platform where you can see I have an employee record already set up within the Arcoro system. I've got some employee demographic information that talks about hiring data and their department and some EEOC information. I've also got compensation records set up within the system, direct deposit data, and then also some tax elections here. Once you've set up the employee record within the Arcoro system, you'll be able to navigate to your navigation menu here, where you'll be able to switch between your modules. In this instance, we're going to go to Arcoro's integration platform, which is where you'll be able to sync data between Arcoro and CMIC. Once we're loaded into the Arcoro integration tool, you'll notice that this is a bi-directional integration. So you'll have the ability to sync data from CMIC into the Arcoro system, but then we'll also have the ability to sync data from Arcoro into CMIC. And that's what we're going to be doing today with our test employee. Before I sync him over, I do want to just pop into CMIC really quick where you can see that this employee record doesn't already exist. So I set up an employee with an employee ID of 777. You'll notice that he is not in the CMIC system. We do have an employee with a different ID set up here, but our employee that's in our Coro is not in CMIC yet. So in order to get that data into CMIC, we're going to want to utilize our CoreHR to CMIC data sync. And to execute that, you're just going to hit this green run button here. Now you will be greeted with a pop-up window that has a few features that you're going to want to be aware of. The first feature is the employee IDs field. So this is going to be a field that you can enter employee IDs in case you want to limit the data sync to certain employee records. You can put one employee record or you can include multiple employee records separated by a comma. And when you hit the run button, then the system is only going to push updates for those specific employees. On the other hand, we also have an exclude feature, which is the exact opposite of what that first feature is doing. So any employee IDs that we put into this field, the system is going to run a data sync for all other employees except for the employee IDs that you note down here. Now, if you leave both of these fields blank, the system is going to basically run a data sync for all of your active employees, as well as a subset of your terminated employees. So this is going to check all of the active and terminated records for any changes between the Arcoro and CMIC system, and then push any updates to CMIC. You've also got a save changes checkbox here. So this is a pretty neat feature that allows you to just run a sync preview if you're ever curious about, what are these changes going to be before I push them over to CMIC. We can uncheck this checkbox that will essentially put the system in preview mode. And then you can hit run, and it's going to create a log for you that will show you all the changes that you can review before actually pushing it into CMIC. We are going to run a save changes data sync because I do want to show you that the data from our Coro does go into CMIC's payroll module. So I'll put that information in, we'll hit run, and we will allow the sync to process. Great. As you can see, the sync does process pretty quickly, so just about 9 seconds. I wanted to plant an error in the sync log here for us, just to demonstrate that there is some logic built into this. So, working and partnering with CMIC, we understand that, what their system requirements are for being able to integrate data between our system and theirs. And so it's really neat that our Coro has the ability to program some data validation and between logic and rules. That's all part of the connector, and it lives behind the scenes that are specific to CMIC. So really the purpose and the benefit of this is any of the data that's being entered into the Arcoro system, when we grab that data out of our Coro and before we pass it into CMIC, we're doing all these data validation checks to make sure that the data is complete, accurate, full, so that we're following the best practice of good data in is good data out, and vice versa. So as you can see, there is a data error here that stops the transfer of data between our Coro and CMIC, and in order for the data to pass, we need to fix this error. All right, so I've already gone in and corrected the data within this employee record. I'm going to go ahead and re-execute my data sync and allow the sync to process the updates. All right, and now that the sync is completed, we can see that there are no data errors that are logged here for us, which means data did pass. And we can specifically see that we've added an employee record into the CMIC system. If we want to get into the specifics of what was touched, we can go ahead and click on the employee name. And every single data point that the Arcoro integration tool touched to get data into CMIC is going to be logged here. We're grouping it between compensation data, demographic data, direct deposit, tax information. If I would have had this employee enrolled in benefits, all of that data would be logged here. If we take a look into the CMIC side, I'm going to refresh the screen and just kind of show that the employee record does now show in our CMIC database. We can see here now that we have a second record here with our 777 employee ID. And we can open up that employee record. We can kind of click through all of the different fields so that we can see the information that passes between our Coro and CMIC. Got our compensation data, address information, specifically on our taxes. So our Coro does write the tax data to the exemptions and overrides tables. So that might be something that you aren't familiar with seeing, but something that is going to work for this integration. So you'll see entries in both um, exemptions and overrides. And then, as there's different data that lives in different places in CMIC. So if we pop into direct deposit, we can also pull up that employee record and see that the direct deposit record passed. I did not have this employee specifically enrolled in benefits or deduction, so we won't see anything there. But if there were employee entries there, then we would see the deduction selections and deduction amounts populate in those tables. This works the same way for updating existing employee records. So if you have an update to an existing employee record, again, you would make that update into the Arcoro system and then sync that data into CMIC. As you can see, the system is a real-time transfer of data into CMIC. I hope this information was helpful. I certainly appreciate you guys hanging along. If you have any other questions about Arcoro's CMIC integration, please reach out to your Arcoro representative and we'd be happy to answer those questions for you and provide you any additional information that you need. Enjoy your day, folks. Thank you for your time.